fine. You'll be just fine, baby. Alright, I'm perfectly centered. Awesome. Alright, gents. This is our first ever master discussion. We're going to be talking about, by far, the best master of all Malifaux. Yeah. You say that now. By far the best master of all of Malifaux. The coolest model of all Malifaux. So the best, well-designed master of all Malifaux. As you can tell, I'm a bit biased. She is my favorite master. Misaki. Does she have a last name? Nope, just straight up Misaki. But she,
What's the model? Misaki.
Yeah, but her last name, she is a Katanaka. She's the son, the daughter. Let's just say son. Daughter of the head of the Katanaka clan.
Sent to Malifaux to manage their holdings.
Organization. So why don't we jump right in to what Misaki does. So we're going to break this down into the various key points. And I'll see about doing different points during the video when I'm editing. So what we're going to focus on, we're going to be discussing her basic card, just purely what's on her card, her various upgrades, and then we're going to go into some of like very common builds you can do with her. And then we'll discuss some models that would synergize with her relatively well, and then we'll look at the various strategies and schemes of gaining grounds to see which ones she would be ideal for, or ones that she would be very successful at doing. So why don't I jump right into her card? Or is there anything you'd like to add, Casey?
Yeah, so Misaki, the big thing, she's Ten Thunders outcast. She's a dual faction outcast. Yeah. Though I think we'll be focusing primarily on the Ten Thunders since that's what you play, and I've primarily played her against you. Yeah. So
Casey's probably the second most expert of Misaki because he plays against her.
So let's start out with her card.
Her base card. So she is Misaki has a cash of 2. She's a Master Living, a Last Blossom, keyword. She's defense 6, willpower 7, 12 wounds, a walk of 5, a charge of 8, and a height of 2. For some of her abilities, she has Risky Ventures. So how Risky Ventures works, while this model has no soul stones in its soul stone pool, it gains a positive to all defense flips and a plus crow to melee. That's going to be very important later on down the line. And then she also has Infiltration Last Blossom, so it allows her to infiltrate. Now she can infiltrate stuff from outcasts and infiltrate stuff from Ten Thunders into outcasts.
Yeah, so she can infiltrate Last Blossoms. Is there a limit? Some infiltrations do.
4. Yeah, she can do 4.
So she can infiltrate up to 4.
But I could bring up to 4 Wushu Raiders from outcasts.
Yeah. Commonly, the Jarigumo is a common pick for into the other way. Yeah. Because, if you're taking her in outcasts, that's a pretty beefy model. Mm-hmm. The only others worth taking worth looking at are a Toto and
Torakage.
Well, I'm thinking more. I can't remember him. Yeah, Yamaziko. Although, if you're an outcast, there's plenty of beaters already, so that's probably why they don't get seen as much. Yeah. Meanwhile, having 8-point minions that are pretty beefy, that's a different story.
Oh, 9 points for the Jarakumo.
Are they 9? Okay.
Yeah.
So, but having those beefy minions.
Yeah, they're phenomenal minions on certain schemes. She gets Bulletproof 1, so she reduces damage from shoot attacks by 1. And she also, this is one of the best abilities that she has, is Diving Charge. This model may declare a charge action when it is engaged, and may ignore intervening models and terrain when it takes a charge action. So, just completely ignores almost all the restrictions when it comes to charging. Other than line of sight, she still needs line of sight. She still needs line of sight.
Is it terrain and models?
Yes.
Okay.
Ignoring intervening models and terrain.
Yeah.
But she still needs to be able to draw line of sight initially.
Oh, and there is... Yeah, so she can ignore most stuff while charging.
Yeah.
Now, of course, anything that normally shuts that down would still work, but...
Mm-hmm. Like Disguise.
Normally being... Yeah. She can't charge Disguise. Anything that doesn't let her charge. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So... but it's very awesome. It's the defining trait of Misaki, being able to charge, ignoring as long as she gets
Risky Ventures is awesome, but Diving Charge is where you get lots of really nifty things.
Yeah.
Well, that's a good transition into her various attack actions.
So now her actions on the back of her card.
She has the Basento, which is a melee 7 with a mask built in. It's resist defense, range 2. Target suffers 2, 4, 6 damage with the following triggers. With a double crow, assassination. After damaging, immediately kill the target unless it discards 2 cards or 2 soul stones.
No.
Which, assassination is phenomenal. And next target, after damaging, push this model up to 4 in any direction.
And the next target is built in.
Yes, it is built in. And then her second melee action, which is Thunder, it's a melee 7 with a mask built in, resist defense, range 2. Target suffers 2, 3 blast, 5 blast damage. This model is immune to damage caused by thunder, so she cannot hurt herself when she thunders. So
the big thing is, so if she hits somebody on one side of her, she can put the templates over herself to hit somebody on the other side, and she won't take the damage.
Which is a good job on playtesting, guys. And then she has the same trigger next target, where she gets a 4-inch push.
Also built in. So as long as Misaki hits, and is it damage or succeed?
After damaging.
So as long as she hits and damages, she gets to push just because.
Yeah.
So that's a big...
It's next.
Now that is, if in the case of assassinate, if you declare it, you're not getting the push trigger. But in every other case, you have that built in, unless it's specifically stripped by something like the librarian.
Yeah. Well, I mean, her 2 attack actions give her a lot of flexibility. Like that Basento,
So the big thing that's obvious there is she has nothing with ranged.
Yeah.
They're both close to, but. Yes, once she gets there, not only does she have the I'm going to kill this one thing, she also has the I'm going to put out enough blast markers to make a group of things hurt.
Yeah, that's the thing, like when it comes to melee orientation, she can like if I'm fighting against like 5 Malifaux rats, alright, I'll blow through all those guys pretty damn quick.
So, we'll get into all those details. What are her...
Her tactical actions are 1, Deadly Dance. This model gains the following condition until end of turn. Deadly Dance. If an enemy model ends a walk action within 2 of this model may discard a card to push 2 away in any direction. Which can be really good defensively. Like, let's say turn 1 you advance and you can, and you're worried about someone charging you or advancing towards you, or that Langston...
Well, is it... ends a charge or a walk, or just walk?
Condition ends deadly. If the enemy ends a walk action. Well, I'm talking more about like a Langston kind of thing when...
Well, okay, so the big thing is when we get into upgrades, she does have a way to get disguised, which means they can't charge.
Yeah.
But yes, it gives her options. Well, the big thing is if something like Deliver the Message is in the pool.
Oh, yeah.
It's much harder to walk up to Misaki
you're correct.
if she has that going. Now, that is a... One action, so you really have to.
You still have to ditch a card for it too.
Yeah, and so, but then her
last tactical action, which is a cast downburst, 5 with a mask, must make a target number 13 with the mask already built in. Models within 3 of target model other than the target must succeed a defense 13 duel or be pushed 4 inches away from the target. And then it has a trigger with a tomes follow through. After this attack action is successfully resolved, push this model 5 towards the target.
Yeah. So.
Really interesting. Like I've never really found a use for this technique. To be honest, I rarely ever use it.
It's there mostly to give her extra options. To clear a point.
Yeah.
She does have the ability to potentially push many models away.
With informants and stuff like that, you can do that and just push.
Right. You hit one guy, push the others away from them. For example, anything that has triggers relying on people being close. Well, if they want to keep that model close, they may very well need to ditch a card to meet that simple duel.
Yeah. So
simple duels, fairly easy to get through to pass if you have the cards, but they still cost you cards if you don't get lucky on the flip.
Yeah.
So, it's interesting that she has it, but it doesn't don't usually see that being used as often. Simply because, once we get into other stuff, she is a pretty in-your-face beat.
Yeah. Well, the build, I like playing with her. We'll go into both different.
I think that's the most popular.
Yeah.
But we will get into all of...
You want to go over the upgrades, Casey? Sure. Since I went over her card.
So we've gone over her actual card. You can already see that she likes to dance around, charge pretty much whatever she wants. With an engagement of 10 and diving charge, she's going to get there.
Well, and also the interesting thing is the damage spread of the Basento. 2, 4, 6. So that min damage of 2 for a master is relatively low. Because most masters are min damage 3.
Well, if the master is going to be beating on people...
Yeah.
3 is often considered what you really want.
Yes.
People even... there's a lot of people who don't like Leviticus's damage spread on his melee because it jumps from, I think it's min 1 to severe of 9.
Yeah.
So, sure, he can get 9, but he has to get severe to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And then her upgrades are various things that make that especially powerful because... So, we'll start with her first limited, is Disguise. And it's 2 soul stones, and she simply gets disguised, which means she cannot be the target of a charge action.
Mm-hmm.
So, of course, this means that combined with her ability to give herself that 2-inch push if you end a walk, means you're basically not going to engage her as long as your opponent as long as the Misaki player is willing to discard a card.
Yes.
It lets her get into positions, very hard to, and again, pin down. You can't charge her, so you have to walk up and then attack.
Yes.
And then she just charges out into a different combat.
And if you get the downburst, or not downburst, the other ability, this is how often rarely I use it, I don't remember the name.
You've got Basento memorized.
Yeah.
The Deadly Dance.
Deadly Dance. So you could, in theory, get Disguise and then spend 1 action for Deadly Dance and just, keep it. The only way people are going to hit you is if they walk and attack, and then you get a 2-inch push afterwards.
Well,
but you have to ditch a card though. So
you did. Basically, they walk up to you.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just say it's something that's worth it, like Howard Langston take a walk action using his nimble.
Mm-hmm.
So you discard a card to push 2 because he didn't end close enough. He didn't end in base contact, so you push 2, and now you're 3 inches away. And he has to spend... now he can't flurry against you. So there are definitely times it's amazing. So this is like a more defensive Misaki.
Yeah.
Because let's just go into her other limited upgrade.
Yeah.
It's also 2 soul stones.
Mm-hmm.
This one is called Stalking Basento.
My favorite.
It gives her the ability Stalking Basento. Now, actually, let's go over Stalk first.
Sure. Then
so it gives her a 0 action called Stalk.
Mm-hmm.
So there are a few other models that have this, and the basic Stalk rule is simply this model may discard a card. If it does, target enemy model in line of sight gains the following condition: Stalked. At the end of any activation that this model took a walk or charge, one opposing model with Stalk may take a walk that must end as close as possible, that end the move as close to this model as possible. So, in this case, Misaki or whatever model has Stalk.
Mm-hmm.
You stalk an enemy, you simply discard a card and it happens.
Yeah.
So it's very easy to put Stalked on them.
Yeah.
But on its own, it doesn't do anything until that model moves or charges.
Yeah.
And then one of yours gets to make 1 walk action towards it.
It has to be towards it, so you can't do...
It has to be as close as possible.
Yeah, you can't do the whole, I'm just going to walk... Langston? I'm going to walk over this way. You have to go as close as possible.
And that's why it's still your choice. So you'd look, you'd say, oh no, that would take me out of cover, I won't do it. Or you'll say, that'll put me in just the right position, I'll take the walk.
Yeah.
Now, the key part is that Misaki, and only Misaki, gets this special ability, Stalking Basento.
Yes.
This model may treat Basento attack action as a 0 AP when targeted against models that have the stalked condition. So that's the first.
Yes.
This gives her 0 to stalk something and 0 to make Basento attack.
Yes.
If the target has the stocked condition, this model's Basinto action gains positive on attack and damage flips.
Free focus, pretty much.
So you stock them, and suddenly all of your attacks have a positive twist, basically focus.
Mm-hmm.
Although it's not technically focused for abilities that call it out, like Zarita's ability that you get negative unless you focus. Of course, it would still cancel out.
Yeah, it would still cancel out. I never thought about that. Interesting.
It's not technically focus for anything that calls out focus, but virtually focus. And if she has her 0 AP action free, she gets to make a free 0 action Basinto.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this is important to remember if you're using this. It does not affect any of your other abilities, only the Basinto attack.
Not the Thunder. Because I made that mistake initially. I thought it was all positive flips, but it's only the Basinto.
Right, it's not melee attacks, it is Basinto.
Yeah, against that one target.
Against any target with stocked.
Yes.
And we'll get into how a Misaki list can stock multiple targets.
Yeah.
Because normally, it lasts until you take this action again. So you stock something and it's stocked the rest of the game, unless it's removed.
So you can. We'll talk more about it later, but yeah.
So that is how that okay looking damage spread of 246 becomes really brutal, because suddenly she's getting positive flips, which means she's more likely to flip a good card, and suddenly even if she flips and it's bad, you can cheat.
Yeah.
So Misaki can reliably throw out some damage with that.
Yeah.
Now her other ones.
Also, the possibility is if the target is pre-stocked, you can, with Basinto, up to 4 attack actions.
Yeah, you can get that free extra attack.
Yeah.
Now let's see. So she has a 1 upgrade cut purse.
Yeah.
So gives her the 1 action pilfer. Casting 5 with a mask, resist defense, range close 2. Mm-hmm. If target model is the enemy crew leader, it must discard 1 soul stone, and this model adds 1 soul stone to its soul stone pool. Mm-hmm. Misaki's Basinto attack gains the following trigger. Cut purse on a mask and a crow, so she has a mask built in already.
Yeah.
So she simply needs the crow, which
if she risky ventures,
she gets off risky ventures or cheating in a crow, or soul stoning for it.
Yeah.
After damaging, take the pilfer action against the target. So it gives her the ability to free pilfer on her Basinto. So this is one I know you're not too fond of using, but it really has some interesting synergies.
Well, no, it does. I think it does have potential, but it says only leader though. If target,
the pilfer only works on the leader.
Yeah.
And the other thing is the synergies with risky ventures means you're not using assassinate. Yeah. And it's just one of those moments that.
Well, yeah, there are that's with the addition of the Terracotta Warrior. There are times in games where I'm thinking, I don't really need misdirection right now. And a cut purse would probably be a lot more efficient.
It's one of those moments. One of the things is, if you're going after their leader and they are somebody who relies on soul stones, even just being able to get 1 or 2 out of them can really hurt.
Oh yeah, like let's say you're playing against a summoner or...
Yeah.
I mean, already having a Misaki in your face and your summoner is already scary enough as it is.
Most of them, yes. So her last upgrade is Untouchable.
I love this upgrade. It's actually really... I think it's fantastic against Neverborn and Resurrection.
Another 1 Soulstone. This model is Flickering Basinto. This model does not need to discard a card when taking defensive actions. Defensive stance actions. So it gives it, similar to another ability I know that's out there, but when she goes defensive, doesn't need to discard. And then Save Face. Friendly models with an 8-inch aura who fail a horror duel may suffer 1 damage to count as succeeding the horror duel instead. This damage cannot be reduced.
Which is phenomenal.
Yeah.
Like, there's those times where, it's happened to you, Casey.
Yes, when I originally started, I was playing Neverborn. Yeah. And I remember you would take Untouchable quite often. Yeah. It actually didn't come up too often, but let's face it, on a horror duel, it's one of those moments. If you fail, it sucks. You're paralyzed.
Yeah.
You'd much rather take 1 damage than get no actions.
Yeah. Well, no, because like there's gonna be those chemo. Like, I mean, it's happened before when we've played where like, oh, I have to do a horror duel. Okay, cool. I have a card to cheat. I'm A-okay. Black Joker. Well.
Yep.
Like it's one extra little safety net, and that's why I'm thinking this is really good with Terracotta Warrior. You know, you can switch out for Untouchable depending on the situation.
Or even if you take Untouchable thinking you're going to need it against this Resurrectionist player, and then it turns out they're playing, I don't know, maybe the new Reva. Reva has very little horror duels.
Yeah.
And you're like, well, shoot. Versus if maybe you didn't bring it and they have Seamus, in which case...
Oh, yeah.
That'd be amazing to
be able just to ping yourself. For one. Yeah.
Yeah. And let's see. And it is just friendly models, so it counts for herself.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, if again, Misaki with Untouchable stalking Vicento, one of few models that probably has a good chance of cutting up somebody like Seamus.
Yeah.
Oh, I failed the horror duel. Let me take 1 damage to pass it, and deal out enough damage and deal out a. Now she still can't flip. That impossible to win. But all right, so.
And there's one more.
Now, there's another. So this is a Last Blossom upgrade. 1 Soul Stone, so her or one of the 2 Last Blossom henchmen can take it.
Yeah, which is Yamaziko and Ototo.
Now, all friendly Last Blossom minion models may take the following tactical actions.
Minions, remember that.
it gives nothing to the rest of the Last Blossoms, only their minions. This is the Torkage, your...
Orin.
Jarigumo.
And the new...
Oh yes, the Wuku Raiders.
Wuku Raiders, yes.
And so this is a dual faction, so the outcasts can take it as long as they have any Last Blossoms to put on, which means they're going to have Misaki anyway, but... they gain the 2 actions, Shadow Stride, casting 5, target number 11 with a mask, so it needs a 6 of masks. Bury this model. At the end of the turn, unbury this model within 6 of a friendly model. If no friendly models are in play, this model is killed. So you immediately bury it, and then at the end of the turn, it comes back next to any friendly model.
It doesn't have to be a Last Blossom either.
Right, only the Last Blossom only the one using it.
Yes.
It's any friendly after that. And it's great also because it doesn't specify peon or anything else, so you could have the tiniest little silly peon out there, and poof, they'll pop up next to it.
Oh my god, you can even do it with traps.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, traps can't move around easily, but they do count.
Yeah.
Now, the other part that you're probably going to use a little more often no, I guess it needs a mask either way,
Advantage.
But you have the 1 action Smoke Bomb. Casting 5, target number 13, so you need an 8. And the range it has range 3. You place 2 50mm smoke markers touching this model and not touching any other models or markers. These markers are height 5 blocking and are removed at end of turn. So they're just blocking, which means they block line of sight but not movement.
Yes.
And then it has the trigger Vanish on a masks, so an 8 of masks. After placing the smoke marker, this model may take the Shadow Stride action. This action gets +2 and masks to casting.
Yeah.
So you have to spend a mask on either action. So the only thing is with smoke bombs, if you get the trigger and the higher card, instead of a 2 action to vanish to Shadow Stride, you can take an action and then 1 action vanish.
It's see, like the issue I have you're doing more card flipping, which increases the chances of.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, if you have the card in hand, then.
Well, not to mention it brings it up to casting 7 with the masks, which means you need a 4. So maybe you have a regular 4 and the 8. No, and anyways, the main thing is you'd have to look at what you want your minion to do. Yeah. Because if it's worth it to place a scheme marker, maybe you smoke bomb. Yeah. If it's not, you just Shadow Stride.
Yeah, you just if you have the card in hand.
And that's where the stupid Jarigumo trick comes in.
Yeah.
So this is something that I guess any 10 Thunders or Outcast taking Misaki can pull off.
Yeah.
So a lot of times they'll combine it with Yamaziko, because she is the cheapest henchman to take it, and she does have her own really good abilities. Brace Yari and her Tactician can be very good. But she takes Smoke and Shadows, so you spend 8 points on her in the upgrade. And then you take 3 Jarigumo.
Yep.
And 2 of the Jarigumo Shadow Stride. So that requires you have at least 2 6 of mass or higher
that's,
in your hand to ensure that it goes off.
That's where, if you guys want, I assume people that are watching a lot of Tacticals might watch Scheme and Stones, and I think it was quite a few episodes when I'm talking about McCabe. Oh, like you're gonna so easily. You need at least a 6 of masks.
You need 2 of them.
2 of them
that are 6 or higher of masks.
Which is, it's not an easy feat. I mean, like, I look at a lot of my hands, like, I'm lucky to get one mask.
The McCabe version of this is the most intense because 2 of the Jarigumo Ninja Vanish.
Yeah.
The third one, since it's a minion, it can get his Reactivate.
Yeah.
McCabe reactivates him, he's the last model to move. He rushes forward. At end of the turn, the other 2 Jarigumo place next to him. And since there are 3 minions, you're able to pull off, not Show of Force, what is it?
Public Demonstration.
Public Demonstration.
In theory, turn 1.
Turn 1 against, and that can be against any henchman or master, I believe.
I believe it's, yeah. Well, the issue, also the thing about it is, like, you'll see that a mile away, and you can try to mitigate it.
Not necessarily. Well, okay. Once you know that trick, you know it.
Like if I played with you, Casey, and you saw me have 3 Jarigumos and Smoke and Shadows, you'd be like, okay, I know what's coming.
Well, but again, it's one of those. If McCabe is doing it now, the biggest problem McCabe has there is simply activation control because he bought 3 Jarigumo and Yamaziko, so. Right there, that's a big chunk of his list.
Well, also nice thing, you can do this a lot with Misaki. We'll go into a little bit more strategies you can do with the Jarigumo and Smoke Balls with Misaki.
So Smoke and Shadows, an interesting one for the Last Blossoms.
Yeah. Shall we do? So since we went through the upgrades, why don't we go into some builds that you can just purely with Misaki?
Well, let's talk about the other upgrade that is most commonly seen. Or the other 2 upgrades that are commonly seen with Misaki.
Yes.
So that is, they're both in the same
you're correct. I should have mentioned those because those are very important.
Yes. So the big one that anybody who's played 10 Thunders has probably come up against is the Recalled Training. Probably one of the best upgrades in the game.
I'm not going to deny that. It's really phenomenal for what it does.
Yeah, it's up there.
Yeah.
So it's cost 1, rare 3, so you can have up to 3 of these. And it's simply, at the start of this model's activation, it may discard this upgrade to gain positive flips to all flips for the remainder of this turn. So anytime they flip for anything, they get positive.
Yeah.
Now, the weird thing is, technically, think about it, they get for all flips, this would include stuff like randomizing.
Yes, I remember.
That doesn't come up as often, since you usually see it on melee beaters.
Yeah.
And 10 Thunders don't have a whole lot of enforcers or henchmen that like to shoot by comparison, but it's their defense, their willpower.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what they're flipping, they get a positive to it.
Yeah.
And the other, now this is a leader only, 2 soul stones, misdirection.
Okay. This is one of my favorites.
Yes.
Actually, the battle report will be released after this, where you guys will get to see.
Yeah. Defense on a masks. After an attack from an enemy model succeeds against this model, target model within 2, so we're just going to say Misaki is misdirection. So target model within 2 of Misaki must discard 2 cards or suffer the effects of the attack action instead of this model. The model which attacked this model may not be the target. So, let's start with the only models in range are Misaki and somebody trying to punch her.
Yes.
Well, Misaki can't misdirect onto the same person attacking her.
Yes, it has to be a different target.
Now, let's just say it's Von Schill and a Freikorpsmann. Von Schill attacks Misaki. If Misaki gets the mask on defense, she can move it over the Freikorpsmann. Now, the Von Schill player, he can discard 2 cards to negate it and say, no, misdirection doesn't happen.
Yeah.
Third option, Misaki is there and she has a friendly Jarigumo. Von Schill attacks her, she moves it to her Jarigumo. Now it's Misaki gets to choose whether or not to discard 2 cards. And of course she's not.
Yeah.
She wants it to go over there.
Awesome, Casey.
Yes.
There's something really cool you can do with that. So you can give with Azamu the armor. Oh wait, no. Oh god dang it, now I'm forgetting. You can do the Terracotta Warrior. Before the Jaragumo goes to Shadow, give him the condition.
Okay.
Yeah. So so this is pretty much how it would work. You would have a Terracotta Warrior give. I'm trying to remember. It's its condition to protection. Give it to the Jaragumo. You bury the Jaragumo afterwards. You throw Misaki in, which we'll talk about a little later, and then you unbury your Misaki, and then let's say everyone's...
Now, the condition does state that it has to be, I think it's something like 10 inches, the Terracotta.
10 inches. Yeah.
So the Terracotta also has to catch up to said Jarigumo.
Yeah.
But you can have this chain of models near Misaki,
yeah,
making it very difficult for you to hurt her. Now, that is, of course, best case scenario.
Yeah.
And your opponent... But that's if you're playing against somebody pulling that off with Misaki, you just have to try and break the chain.
Yes.
You need to break that chain somehow.
Yeah.
So that is probably the most common I see for Misaki, since I play you a lot.
Yeah.
Is the Stalking Basinto,
yes,
plus Recalled Training and Misdirection. This gives her a lot of durability and a single really powerful Alpha Strike.
Yes. Very few models, I think, can if everything goes right, there are very few models I think that can survive a full onslaught of Misaki.
And we'll probably get into, especially since Misaki can't
get up to 5 attack actions.
Its 10 Thunders can give out fast very easily with Sensei Yu.
Yeah.
So if Sensei Yu gives her fast, I still think the scariest part of that isn't 5 attacks against a single target.
It's the Thunders, too.
Well, I think it's the fact that she could charge one target.
Yeah.
And then charge a different target and kill 2 things, both with charges, getting very deep into enemy lines. And of course, the more models she's surrounded by, the more things she can misdirect onto.
Yeah.
And what happens when she runs misdirect? Well, suddenly she has Risky Ventures, giving her more defensive flips. Now, the one important thing about misdirection is it is defense only. It is a defensive trigger,
it's
not a willpower trigger.
She does not get against willpower.
So, Misaki is still vulnerable to lures, but she does have that willpower 7.
Yeah. So,
again, like one of the better things against a misdirection build would be something like
Executioners.
Pandora. Executioners, yes.
Yeah.
Executioners, Joss, Pandora, they all either attack willpower or ignore defensive triggers to punch her directly in the face. And like we know with most things that have 12 wounds and 6 defense, against a dedicated assault, they're not going to hold up.
Yeah.
And so misdirection's normally your ace in the hole to keep her alive.
Yeah.
Risky Ventures also helps. Needing to cheat less cards on defense is
or getting those masks you need.
Yeah. And so, yes, that's right. Risky Ventures. And the other thing, Recalled Training also gives you positive defense.
Yeah. So that, like, let's say you get to that turn where you Alpha Strike, and then you're getting, if you use up all your Soul Stones, you're flipping 3 cards for defense, which is phenomenal.
Yep. So we've gotten into that and talking a little about builds. Let's talk about her totem, Shang.
Shang. Oh, I forgot about Shang. Shang. So Shang is a 3 Soulstone peon. He's a living totem Misaki. He's defense 5, willpower 6, 4 wounds, walk of 6, charge of 6, height of 1. He has companion, which is I to be completely honest, I rarely use companion. There's been once I think I've used it. Spawn of the Ember Dragon. This model is immune to burning condition. Rush of Magic, which is phenomenal with Misaki, where you need those cards.
Yeah, that's the big one, Rush of Magic, letting you...
3 Soul Stones for Rush of Magic. He's insignificant. With his attack actions, he has Heavenly Blaze, shoot of 4, resist defense, range 8. Target suffers 1, 2, 3 blast damage. Claws, 5 with a Mass Built-In, resist defense, range 1. Target suffers 1, 2, 4 damage, but it has Flay. which is very interesting. With the second mask, you can get Flay to cheat maybe if you want to get to that 4 damage.
Yeah.
It's really rare.
Right. But it's a moment... It's one of those weird moments where Shang, like most totems, he's not very threatening, but I've killed things by charging Primordial Magic at them because there was no other thing to do. And Shang, just the fact that he can flay means it's a threat.
It's an option, yeah.
It's an option.
Melee 5-2 isn't too bad.
Although I think the second most potentially useful...
It's probably this. I think I've done it once or twice. Channel Healing. 6 of masks need a 4 of anything with the masks already built in. Target Misaki model heals 1, 2, 3 damage. This model then suffers 1 damage that cannot be reduced.
So Shang hurts himself for 1 to heal.
Yeah.
To do a healing flip.
Primarily for me, when I take Shang, I take him 1. He's a really cheap activation. The Channel Healing is really rare because, as we were discussing earlier, Misaki's usually way up in the front. And I usually keep Shang a little bit back because I want that rush of magic. I want those additional cards for either assassinations or stuff to ditch, or just having plenty of those high cards to cheat in for that really nice 6 sphere damage.
Yeah, well, but for whatever reason, if Misaki can or needs to head back to her side,
or
Shang
even like just slowly advance. Like I made the mistake of someone telling me, "Oh, just keep Shang in the corner the whole game." But there are times where if I moved Shang up just once, you can move him into relative. Say he's defense 5, so really. But if you just move, if you're cautious with him and you move him.
Yeah, the big thing is just knowing if they have anything that can get to him. Because, if he's hiding behind one of your Jarigumo or something else, or hugging cover where he can't be seen, he is safe, unless they have snipers with, whatever, the Scout the Field or something like that.
Well, actually, there are some situations where you can get really good with the Companion, where you can use a push on him, and then companion him into him with, like, after Sensei Yu pushes him, then you can companion into him, and then you can move and give Misaki a healing flip.
And similarly, is even if Misaki's in a place where she's not going to be offensive this turn, maybe it's best she runs back towards Shang. She gets in range of the healing, which is also range of companion. Shang immediately activates, uses healing twice. Suddenly Misaki is that much harder to kill. She goes from 1 or 2 hit points left to 2 more healing flips. Suddenly your opponent's like, dang, I can't.
Now I have to chop through that again.
Yeah, I have to go through that much
more. And
more.
A future misdirection target, possibly.
Exactly. Depending how close she got to him, or maybe that's why she got close to your guys again.
Yeah. In almost every Misaki list I've always brought Shang.
Yeah, I remember at first you weren't so keen on him, but he definitely grew on you because that's another. So Misaki only has 2 cash, and you take 5 soul stones worth of upgrades. Like models for activations becomes really tight. So 3 for an activation tied to Rush of Magic. It's not quite the Primordial Magic, but it's damn close.
So we discussed the Misaki kill build, which, as you mentioned, Casey, it is Stalking Basento, Misdirection, Recall Train. That's usually the very... There might be some variation in that, but usually you depend a lot on... Let's say you want to go hog wild, you could depend on just Stalking Basento.
Wasn't that Gremlins?
Go ha.
Yeah, but Stalking Basento... So Stalking Basento is the must-have out of that.
If you want Misaki to be pure offensive, you need Stalking Basento. And I could make an argument that you're always going to want Recall Training for that 1 turn.
The weird thing is, I could definitely see times when you might not. That you might... Like, Recall
Training
you can
lean on Stalked a lot.
Well, Recall Training is the kind of thing you might drop for her Untouchable. Because if you're... I'd argue that it's more the other way, that the Misdirection... If she is going to be diving into the middle of a fight, Misdirection is practically a must. And the Outcast sort of flip side to that is Survivalist would give her hard to kill and positive flips on healing flips. So she would be a little harder to finish off because that, I've got 3 hit points, you hit me for 4 damage, I'm at 1 health.
Yeah.
The standard hard to kill, adding at least 1 more attack. Then she runs back to Shang. Shang gives her 2 heals with a positive twist.
Yeah.
So that's the survivalist build, which that's like I remember when the very first time you played Misaki, you were trying the disguised build to be a little more, and I think it's one of those weird moments. I think disguised and survivalist is going to make one of the hardest to kill, most annoying masters.
Which depends on the skill pool.
Ten Thunders, Misdirection, and Recall Training, those make the most offensive. I would say probably hands down the best assassin in the game.
Yes,
she can get
I will agree
almost
with that.
Anywhere, and she's going to have 3 positive twists to attack and damage.
So can we both agree for it? Yeah, like as
for 2
for single target killing. Like if you need that model dead, short of even with a black Joker,
a black Joker will certainly hurt because sometimes that one attack makes a difference, but if she pulls it off right with Sensei Yu being the one that stalks them and getting fast, she can get in there. Even
Masters. I mean, the only Masters I think could probably do it maybe is...
It's only ones with defensive triggers that mess with it.
Yeah.
Molly's just going to shut her down.
Molly...
it's going to be... Molly may have to discard a lot of cards, but she's going to reduce it to 1 and stone it away or just take the 1 damage.
Yeah.
She'll stone on the ones you assassinate.
What's her face?
Karai's going to be a problem. Karai is going to move it off onto her spirits. Colette is going to be... Colette's a weird one because a lot of times Misaki will... Even if you don't kill Colette, you're going to force her to kill one of her own friendlies to survive.
Yeah.
And depending how it's done... Now, of course, if it's a performer and you give Colette reactivate, that could bite you in the ass. But, right. So there's a few that usually it's their defensive triggers. If they're relying on raw physical stats, that's usually not enough.
Yeah. Like, I mean...
You need to stack up a couple different things.
She can... what's one of the hardest wound counts in the game? 14?
14 is pretty high. There's... I think... There might be... But go on, yeah.
She can chop through 14 wounds like a hot knife through butter. One game, it's very iconic with me. It was one of the first... It was actually my first major tournament with Misaki. Turn 1... We'll go more into that later. But turn 1 I charged and I killed a dead rider.
Yeah, dead rider. And of course, the riders are most vulnerable on turn 1.
Yeah.
Or the earlier the turn. And that's why you get rid of them.
Yeah, killing a 12 Soulstone model.
Yeah.
In 1 round of combat. Yeah, it's Misaki is... If you like a master that will probably kill... If you want that model dead, it will probably die.
Yeah.
Short of some defensive trigger or...
The only other thing is henchmen's and masters do have Soulstone Prevention, so if you're stacking something like armor on top of Soulstone Prevention...
Yes.
Of course, if you have somebody like Ramos, who his armor 2, 10 wounds, and Soulstone Prevention can be a problem for Misaki, but if she forces him to spend 3 or 4 Soulstones on that, you've probably come out on top even if you lose Misaki.
Yeah. Because that stones he's not spending summoning the swarm. Yeah.
Right. Making it that much harder for summoning.
Yeah.
So yes, there's always going to be a few models. Not to mention, you just know what battles to pick.
Yes.
If you're fighting Molly, you know not to go head on with Molly until you're ready.
Philip the nanny. You kill.
Right. Get rid of Philip. Get rid of the Doxies and the Bells. Whatever else is a problem.
Yeah, just kill everything else. So now we'll go into... To me, is the more boring build, but it still has its merits. I've never actually tried it. Actually, no, I tried it before. I tried it 2 or 3 times. We're going to go into the super hyper defensive Misaki build, which how this one works. It usually involves disguise instead of a stalk.
Right. So you don't have stalking Bazento, but you have disguise.
You have... damn it, it died. Well, we know where we're at. It usually involves disguise, misdirection, and the... gosh, what's it called? A little break right here. Untouchable.
Okay.
So how it is very much... Also, this was considered the anti-killjoy defense.
Oh yes, just anything with disguised is a good.
Yeah,
good.
And like the ability for if you're playing her super defensive, you can, let's say there's a situation you're just launching yourself into a major combat, so you can ditch a card to go. You don't have to ditch a card. You can go defensive 3.
Well, okay, you can go defensive for however much AP you're willing
Yeah,
to
I'm sorry,
spend on.
yeah, you're right, you're correct.
So up to 3, anywhere from 1 to 3, and note, don't have to worry about cards.
Yes, and then it's...
Oh yeah, I see now how untouchable and misdirection.
Yep.
So you dive into a group of enemies, and
they attack you, like Misaki is flipping.
And that's the thing, it doesn't matter what mask you flip, especially, you actually almost want to flip a low one, so that, because it's whatever would affect Misaki instead affects them.
Yes.
So if they're getting a positive twist to damage, or better yet, a straight twist, because you have a low, like a 2, then whatever they flip is going to that guy.
Well, that's the nice thing. And also, if you're going defensive, you're flipping so much more cards.
Right.
So you have that chance of getting that ideal. Let's say I'm hitting you with my beater. All right, I'm going to take that 13 of crows. Oh, you're out of your little long cards because I got a few assassinations off on a key model, and you had to ditch some. So now all you have is 2.
Yeah.
So it's a very defensive build. I think a little bit more situational, but if you get it off, it can be pretty nasty because like misdirection can be pretty mean. If you're surrounded by 3 or 4 models, and she's holding up these 3 or 4 models. Also, another really interesting thing, like back to what happened in one of our previous games with Marcus. You were, I think it was a hound or something that was attacking. It was something beefier, and you attacked Misaki, and I misdirected, and I killed a canine remains because of that.
Yeah.
But it's a really nifty defensive one, and also with this one you have to be a little bit more careful with Misaki. You are also depending a lot more on the assassinations, and you're probably not going to be getting that really big damage as much.
Yeah.
With the 6, so you're probably going to go maybe hunting a lot smaller things or hunting things with lower defense.
And it's interesting, just so now that we've kind of discussed her offensive and defensive builds, there's one tip that I've seen, and I'm going to echo because I think it is excellent advice for Misaki. So she can be really good at killing.
Yes.
She can be really good at defense, but when you're building your crew, one of the most important things is to build a crew that can be efficient without her.
Yes.
Because Misaki is going to be out there doing whatever Misaki does best this case. She's going to be killing your enemy's key models. She's going to be keeping stuff busy.
Yes.
Because let's face it, whether she kills Killjoy or ties him down for the game, you've won either way.
Yeah.